Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm so excited to share this video with you because this build was such a fun project. It's actually inspired by an AI generated image I came across online a while ago. And the moment I saw it, I just thought, wow, this would make such an amazing Sims 4 build. Now, as you may know, working with AI images is always a bit of a challenge and, I might add, quite tricky. They look cool when you see them the first time, but they're not always practical. Things don't always make sense. Like, the more you look at it, the weirder it becomes. So I had to guess and piece together a lot of the details, making sure everything has a purpose in this build. For example, not adding some stairs that lead to the second floor window. But honestly, that was part of the fun too. Figuring out the layout and making it work in the game was actually really satisfying for me. One of the things I loved about this build was the multi-level design. So it's not your typical one-story house, and I think this is what attracted me in the first place. I feel this pull towards all things dynamic, out of ordinary, but I like it when they keep clean lines. Maybe let's call it minimalist maximalism. Is that a thing for real? Because it kinda lives rent-free in my head, to be honest. The different levels add so much personality, and I really wanted to make sure everything flowed together. I stuck to a palette of blues and whites, classic colors for that bright Mediterranean look. It just felt right for the vibe I was going for. This house is heavily inspired by Greek architecture, so I tried to add as many Greek-style details as I could. The landscaping, oh my god, the landscaping was so much fun. Greek homes are so connected to the outdoors, so I really focused on creating a beautiful and lush outdoor space. At first, I built this house in Willow Creek, if I remember well, but something about it just didn't feel right. The lush green surroundings didn't match the look of the house or the look of the environment, so I ended up moving it to a more desert-like world. That change made all the difference. Suddenly the build just clicked. It felt like it truly belonged there. Now, let's talk a bit about the story I imagined for this build. I thought of it as an old, crumbling ruin that someone decided to restore. They kept parts of the original structure, like the walls in the backyard, and built the rest of the house around them. I loved that mix of old and new. It feels like you're preserving history while creating something fresh and modern. The backyard was one of my favorite parts to design. There's this little stone pathway that leads to the gazebo, and I really wanted it to feel like you're discovering a hidden treasure. I spent a lot of time experimenting with the landscaping, using plants that fit the Greek vibe and adding pops of greenery to soften the space. I also played around with stone textures for the pathways because let's face it, a Greek inspired build isn't complete without a lot of stone. At this point, I'm really focusing on the landscape and trying to make the build feel like it truly belongs in its environment. It's all about creating a specific atmosphere that ties everything together. So, like I mentioned earlier, something about the build just wasn't blending well with the rest of the world. And for the longest time, it didn't even occur to me to just move it. I mean, not until I was about to take the final screenshots at least. So, anyways, it is what it is. So, here I am, trying and working really, really hard on the landscaping, adding as many little details as I can to make everything fit together. And you can see I'm also putting a lot of effort into hiding the background as well. Honestly, that sidewalk was just not doing it for me, so bye bye sidewalk. I need that space for my massive stones. Priorities, right? Either way, I'm really happy with how it's turning out. It just feels so natural, like it really belongs here. Honestly, I think all the time I spent obsessing over those tiny details was totally worth it. Oh, and look, another pathway. I can't help myself. I absolutely love pathways. You'll probably notice them popping up everywhere in my builds. So basically, it's like my signature thing at this point. Here I'm paving all the backyard because, as I was saying, you need stone, and as you'll see in the final look, it blends so much better with the background once I move the lot to a different world. So, moving on. Originally, I thought about adding a fountain, but it didn't quite fit the look I was going for. Instead, I went with a pool, which feels more in line with that rustic ancient charm. Also, it is more functional for the gameplay itself. Around the house, I added a lot of flowers and bushes inspired by my own trip to Greece. I remember seeing these vibrant, colorful blooms everywhere, and they left such an impression on me. I decided they must make an appearance in my build as well. If you know the name of those colorful trees you find in Greece, please let me know in the comments. I want to be considerate and name them properly. One of the things I absolutely love about Greek architecture is how it uses bright colors. I don't know, it just feels so joyful. Yeah, that's the word that always comes to mind when I think about Greek architecture. Joyful. And yep, you guessed it, more stones. It's one of those details I just love adding whenever I'm doing landscaping. It really pulls everything together, you know? Now here I'm adding another pop of color because the back of the house was looking a little too plain compared to the rest of the yard. But don't worry, by the time we're done, this area is going to be packed. Trust me, it's going to look so much more lively by the end of the video. Here at the step, I was not sure what to do because initially I wanted to add stairs, but then I thought I should preserve a more natural look to it. So actually what I ended up doing was leaving it as it is and trying to mask it out a little with some greenery. And then after I created the railing, I realized I did a mistake because hello, there's a pathway there for a reason. So you'll see me changing it. The front of the house is pretty open and flexible, and that was completely intentional. I wanted to leave some space for you to really make it your own and customize it however you like. Maybe you want to turn it into a garden, maybe a front garden with some benches, a fountain, or even a cute little bird bath. Or if you are more into the gameplay functionality, you could turn it into something practical like an area for skill building. Maybe add a woodworking bench, a candle making station, or even a small space for solar panels or a water collector if you're into the eco lifestyle vibe. If you're thinking more on the creative side, you could go seasonal with it. I mean, it's the perfect blank canvas for holiday decorations, like a Christmas tree with festive lights or even spooky Halloween decor. You could even add something like a little play area for the kids, swings, a slide, or even a sandbox. There's plenty of room to experiment here in the front yard. Another idea is to use it for parking or as a little courtyard. Maybe you could add a decorative car or create a paved driveway. Or if you're all about aesthetics, go for some dramatic statues. The options are endless, and I love giving that flexibility to make it suit the Sims lifestyle and story. Now, moving to the backyard. I created a cozy grill and hangout area, and honestly, I think it's one of the highlights of this build. I did a lot of trial and error here, tweaking things until it felt just right, even though it didn't make it in the video. But honestly, I spent hours doing this build, which is so much fun because I managed to create such a short video out of it. There was this one column that I kept going back and forth on. It felt like it was in the way. So I ended up deleting it, which you'll see in a moment. Instead, I added an outdoor fireplace, which I think ties the whole space together. It's perfect for those cool evenings when you just want to relax outside. I also added a covered dining area to give the space some shade and privacy. It's little touches like this that really bring the build to life. I wanted it to feel cozy, but still open enough to enjoy the beautiful surroundings. Lighting was another thing I really focused on. I went with soft, warm lights to create a cozy, romantic atmosphere at night. It makes the whole space feel magical after dark, and that's exactly what I was going for. The way the lights highlight the pathways and the gazebo just adds so much charm to this build, in my opinion. And that's the exterior of the house. I hope you enjoyed watching me put this together. This is just part 1 of the build though. In the next video, I'll be decorating the interior, so make sure to stick around for that. Before we wrap up, I've included some screenshots of the finished exterior. so you can get a closer look at all the details. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the build too. What was your favorite part of this speed build? Because I could not decide which part I like the most. Let me know in the comments. Until next time, happy simming and I'll see you in part 2. Bye!